Okay, so now I have my final 3 ideas, which are premonitions, hallucinations and dreams, which I will choose one of these to base my storyline around. All of this is explained in my last post, so please have a look at that before you watch this video. So today I'll be talking to the public about my final 3 ideas and asking them which one they would choose, which one they like best, and using the audience to try and come up with my final idea and trying to choose one of these 3 ideas. So wait till the end and I will announce which one I've chosen.
Very interesting.
Okay, so what are your initial thoughts or comments on my ideas for my storyline?
Fantastic. All 3, the premonitions, the dreams, or the hallucinations, are going to work really, really well. Whichever one you choose, I think they're great ideas.
Okay, so which idea do you like best and why?
I think all 3 ideas are great, but probably premonitions would be the one that I would go for, the one that I would like. I think it creates very complex, interesting characters, very interesting to see what may happen within those premonitions, what may happen in the film, whether that actually does, but it gives you an idea of how the film could unfold.
Would you watch this film if it had premonitions in it?
Oh, absolutely, definitely would watch the film. I think within that chosen genre, to have premonitions in a film makes it really watchable, really interesting, a different take. Maybe that's not the actual outcome of the film in the end, but you have a different take with a very complex character. Definitely I like films that have one of the plot twists and the premonitions in the specific character in the film. I really enjoy it. It's great.
And lastly, any final comments?
I think that when you read a book, a thriller that has premonitions in the book, it makes it so much more interesting, and that relates to film as well. That then crosses over into film. So I think that's great. I particularly do love thrillers, and to have something with premonitions in is a great idea.
So do you think if I based my film maybe ideas from it and taken ideas from books or real true stories is something you would look into a film as well?
Definitely. I think that's great research to look into if you read thrillers, research into other films that use premonitions. I think that can only enhance your film or your short film.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very good, Imogen. Yeah, quite enjoying the whole sort of atmosphere of these 3 topics.
Okay, so what are your first initial thoughts or comments on my 3 ideas?
Very good ideas, Imogen. My thoughts on the ideas, well, it's a difficult one for you to sort of capture in 5 minutes, but I'm sure you'll have the ability with my guidance to help.
Okay, so which one do you like best and why?
Well, for me, Imogen, it's got to be premonitions. Why? I think the idea of falling asleep and waking up in another dimension or another place would be quite wonderful in a way, but you could do it on a nice way, or you could do it in a terrifying way.
Would you watch this film?
Would I watch it? Yeah, particularly like these films. The way they sort of open up and you're not sure what's real or right or wrong or right sort of thing. Yeah, it suits me, Imogen, because obviously you're aiming for a more mature audience, which suits me.
Any final comments?
I really like the way it's psychological and the way it makes you think.
Thank you very much.
More than welcome.
What are your initial comments and ideas about my 3 ideas?
Right, I thought that your ideas were really creative and really interesting. Yeah, I thought they were quite dark and thrilling, had a bit of a twist to them, and I think it meets the audience criteria. I like the films that you've used, like them sort of thriller films,
What,
to sort
4
of
ideas?
craft your ideas for what you want to do, basically.
Which one do you like best and why?
I liked Premonitions because I liked the idea of the whole dream thing, that when you dream something and then it actually happens. I thought that makes it quite dark and mysterious and sort of weird, which freaks you out. I like it because when you usually think of thrillers, you think of like the guns, the policeman, more action-packed things, but it sort of had, this thriller had like the supernatural feel to it, but it wasn't like gory like a horror is.
Because my genre is a psychological thriller, would you say it suits this well?
Psychological thriller? Oh, hell yeah.
Would you watch this film if it was about premonitions?
I would watch this film because I do love films like this. I do sometimes get quite scared because they're sort of like, because they're psychological thrillers, it makes you think about them like all throughout the day, and like the next day you're always thinking about it. But it's one of these films that I would be googling and like trying to find out stuff about and watching the trailer because I find it really interesting. But I probably would go and watch it as long as I had someone with me.
Any final comments?
I'm looking forward to watching this film because I like films like Donnie Darko and I can see this one going that way.
Well, thank you very much, Bridie.
That's all right, thanks for your time.
So, what are your initial comments or thoughts on my ideas?
I think that some of the ideas that you have will lead to really creative camera work and editing techniques, such as the hallucinations or premonitions or whatever. And it also reminds me of the film Solace, which obviously the detectives can have premonitions to help them solve the murders.
Which one do you like best and why?
I think I like the premonitions idea best because it's not something which is really commonly done within the genre, and it allows for the audience to get a taste of what's to come, so it makes them really anticipate and on the edge of their seat throughout the film.
Would you watch this film?
I probably would watch this film because I like psychological thrillers, and with the premonitions idea, I think that it can make some really twisted and potentially mind-confusing scenes where it's all revealed at the end, which is a good twist.
Okay, any final comments?
I think that if you make a film about premonitions, you need to make sure that it's quite simple and not overly complex, otherwise you might get the audience really confused and they might not understand what's actually going on in the film.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacob.
And no pretentious water shots.
Thank you. What are your initial comments or ideas or thoughts about my 3 ideas?
I like that you've made it into 3 separate paragraphs on what you can inspire your final thriller, and also I really like how you've taken direct inspiration from Donnie Darko, but you've split it into 3 sections so that you can really analyse them, and also you're not going to use all 3 of them because that could, be a complete copy of Donnie Darko, but then you can really go into dreams and hallucinations, because I think that using this will make your film more psychological, which is very important because you don't always have to have an action thriller for it to be successful. So films like Donnie Darko and these types of films are really good to get inspiration from.
Which idea do you like best and why?
I like Premonitions because like films like The Shining have used them really well, and you can really sort of pay attention to detail for when you use your characters, because you can really emphasise cinematography aspects, and also you can really show a different array of editing techniques as well.
Would you watch this if it had premonitions in?
Yes, I'd definitely watch it because it's been inspired by films like The Shining, which are also really good. And I think that it sets up loads of conventions that you can use, and also other conventions that you can introduce, and also not conform to the conventions, which means that your film will be different and unique from other films that have followed the same sort of style, but won't be a direct copy and will also be so unique.
Any final comments?
I think that it's such a great idea to use because I like how you take inspiration from films like The Shining and Donnie Darko, because you really need sort of inspiration from when you create a film, because all great directors use inspiration. For example, Dan Gilroy, who directed Nightcrawler, which is also a thriller, took inspiration from Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. And I think that using this will sort of lay down the foundation for your film, and it can really help people when you decide to film.
Okay, so as you can see from the audience, most of them liked Premonitions, and Premonitions is my chosen one. I will be basing my whole storyline around Premonitions. Overall, I completely agree with my audience, as I think this is the most practical choice, as the other two would require very high level of editing skills, very expensive equipment, camera equipment and lighting, which is way out of my budget. I believe this is probably the best choice as well. It will give opportunities of plot twists, unusual camera work and lighting, and it will also show off the very little editing skills I do have. As this is a very broad idea, Premonitions is very broad, I can do quite a lot with it. I believe I will be able to fill up that 5 minutes, and with a start, middle and conclusion well. I think this idea really suits me as well, because it's not completely conventional, it's a little bit different, and I kind of wanted to go down that route with my film, and it allows me to be different and be creative and just push all my ideas into the film. Okay, so that's it. My next post will be about my character inspiration, so keep an eye out for that, and I will be posting my final storyline and my character, or characters, not sure yet, up soon, so keep an eye out. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed.